And a good morning to you, and welcome to another edition of Clincheck Theater Thursday. I am your host, Dr. David Galler, and today is the most important Clincheck Theater Thursday of the year. These are the three top modifications that I make to my Clinchecks every single time. There are three tiny little glitches. GLR is almost perfect, but there's three little nuances that crept in the last 2 months into the code because of changes that Invisalign made to the overall scheme. Problem number one, we get a lot of cases back where there is attachment collision. Again, if this went through the regular treat software, there would be a technician there and they would simply just move that lower. But because there's no technician here, we're going to get cases where the attachment is in collision. So very simply, I just write, hey, move the attachment of number 29 out of interference. And if it's unavailable to move it onto the real estate here, then I just have them move it onto the molar. But we do not want to accept any sort of cases that have an attachment in collision. Number two, this is a very large class 2 malocclusion case, and we're doing IPR appropriately to try and close some of that malocclusion. The system, for whatever reason, has glitched in the last 3 weeks, and it no longer gives us IPR distal to the canines. We should go IPR distal to the canines. Now, I don't like doing IPR distal to the premolars. That is considered posterior IPR. It is a bad idea, but I will do IPR distal to the canines, and we're leaving some room on the table. If I add in IPR distal to 1.3 and IPR distal to 2.3, I could close more overgent, and I think that's a good idea. So in all your cases, make sure that you maximize your IPR if needed and get that distal canine IPR. And number three, this is a crowding case. In a crowding case, we should never see premolars moving to the lingual. Look at how number 13 and number 20, 2.5 and 3.5. Look how they're ever so slightly moving to the lingual. Now they're already in crossbite. Okay, whatever, I'm leaving them in crossbite. But we should never see teeth moving to the lingual in a crowding case. Why is it doing it? Well, what it's trying to do is it's trying to match up, the premolar is trying to match up a little bit better with the first molar. It's trying to put the distal contact of the premolar in more correct position with the mesial contact of the first premolar, and that's why it's moving a little bit lingual intra-arch. But in a crowding case like this, I do not want to be constricting the arch in. If anything, I want to be doing the opposite. I want to be expanding the arch. Again, the same thing over here. Look at how we see that number 20 tooth going lingual. It's doing it to match up the mesial contact of the molar with the distal contact of the premolar so that they look more aligned. But in the overall scheme of crowding, we don't want to see premolars going on. These are the top three things that I'm correcting nowadays in Clinchecks. Number one, make sure you maximize and get your IPR distal to the canines. Number two, make sure you do not have an attachment collision. And number three, in a crowding case, make sure your premolars are not going to the lingual. Thank you very much. This has been Clincheck Theater Thursday, and I am your host, Dr. David Galler.